And we are talking about the Mandalorian episode 304, The Foundling. We are going to review the episode and then get into a breakdown of the episode starting now. Welcome to Nerd Social. I'm Nathan.
And I'm Colin.
Hey, so we're about halfway through the season already, which is crazy. The spoiler-free logline for this episode is Djarin returns to the hidden Mandalorian covert. This is written by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, and it is directed by Carl Weathers. So, Colin, what do you think of this episode?
Yeah, I was surprised that it was directed by Carl Weathers. I think he directed one episode from the previous season.
It was one of the better ones as well when they were trying to break into the facility.
Exactly. And they had the pants guy. But anyways, so I rather enjoyed this episode pretty well. I think that it was very similar in terms of the acts from last week. We mentioned from last week, it was like a definitive beginning, middle, and end. I think for this one, it was definitely a beginning, and then it went right into the middle, and then there was like a huge end part at the end, near the end. So I did enjoy the middle part of it because it did give some good storytelling there as to fill in some gaps in here and there. I think that the main story has been done a couple of times before in previous Mandalorian episodes. Still pretty compelling, still pretty action packed, but I think it was, like I said, done before. So in terms of a rating, I would be given a little lower because of that. Seen it before in a lot of ways, although there was a twist at the very end that was fascinating. So that's like my general thoughts overall about the episode, and it also seemed as though it was self-contained, and then I don't know where the story is going to go after this because we're spending a lot of time with this group of Mandalorians and not sure where it's going to go moving forward. So curious to see what's coming, but it seems as though they're guiding the story out a little bit for this episode.
Yeah, I like this episode, but as you said, it's not a favorite of mine. I probably knocked this down a couple spots from where I was last week. I appreciate the point of view character. Like, we switched the point of view character in the last episode mostly to Dr. Pershing. And the point of view character in this episode, for the most part, actually is not Din or Grogu, although there is a point where he is the point of view character. It's really Bo-Katan, which I thought was very interesting. It's following up on the episode from 2 weeks ago with Bo-Katan's revelation, a little bit of her beginning of her conversion, and I appreciate that. So yeah, I appreciate her being the point of view character because all the stuff that we're seeing with this sect is new to us, and having her as a point of view character saying how it's new to her is good. But Katie Sackhoff is awesome. I'll always want to see more Katie Sackhoff. So yeah, it was a good episode, but I think I would still rate it because I don't know if I would really revisit it under a rating system. I'd probably give it a dinner party, which is like a 7. It'd be nice to talk about a little bit. It has some really cool action scenes, some aeronautical stuff at the end.
Yep.
A bit of a standoff at the beginning that's satisfying. I don't know that it has a whole lot of rewatch value beyond that. It does tell you some backstory or it does richen this particular sect of the Mandalorians so you understand them a little bit better in the way that they operate, answer some questions that people have about shaving and eating and stuff like that.
Okay.
So yeah, I give it a dinner party of 7. How would you rate it?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I think that I would have given it even a lower, probably a 6. Definitely not a 5, but a 6. But I would say the middle story, the backstory of one of the characters did a little bit. And also there was a special guest appearance of a famous Star Wars actor character.
And we'll get to that.
Yeah, so that upped it to a 7 for me because of that person's appearance.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, so we should get into it because it's difficult to talk about it because there's a giant spoiler in the middle of it, like you said. So after you enjoy the conversation, please share, like, and subscribe. It really helps the channel out, makes the algorithm happy, and helps other people find our content. So with that, spoilers ahead. All right, so we have screenshots from this episode. All right, so this starts in the convert with them doing basically battle training, the foundlings and also, or the young ones, and also the adults as well. Some of this stuff makes no sense. Like, so they're fighting each other, that makes sense, but some of them are just like shooting into the water. It's like the stuff behind them seems like really training, but like the stuff like shooting into the water is like people with beer in the woods, like shooting into the woods. It's not, they're not aiming at anything. They're just shooting into the, it's like, that's what it made me think of, like guys hanging out in the middle of the woods, like shooting, like and drinking beer.
Honestly, where can they shoot though? They can't shoot backwards, right?
No, they can't shoot backwards, but they're not aiming. Like, they could set up some targets to actually shoot at, like on the rocks.
I see your point.
Go a little bit further down the beach and shoot at some targets to actually get better at something. What are they shooting at?
Maybe they're shooting at a monster, that sea monster that was there. They probably are trying to. I don't know if there's other sea monsters in the water. So
we find out later that they killed in the previous episode. There are other ones in the water, but there's nothing right now over where they are.
Rocks there though.
Well, we think Fox, and actually that this is a fake out. We think that Grogu is making them move, but apparently he is not. They're just all like crap. Like he didn't make any of these moves. They were moving by themselves.
Pretty clever though.
Yeah.
Pretty clever there.
Yeah. So this standoff was pretty cool as well. So like this is we're starting to see him turn in more and more into a Mandalorian. Like previous, the Mandalorian had the lightsaber who was a Jedi as well.
Right.
He's using his force powers, and also he's using his Mandalorian training here. So this is the first time he's got. So he has chainmail, but in this episode he actually gets darts. Plus he gets a like a chess piece as well later on in the episode. So this is pretty cool. Just he does one kick jump and it shoots this kid. I think that they could have actually, the way that Carl shot this, he could have shown that the kid turned all the way around. You can assume that he turned all the way around, but like I would have liked to have seen the kid a little bit more disoriented in that shot. But he makes up for it with some shots later on in the episode, especially air stuff. I thought this kid was dead immediately.
Yeah, so I think because I watched too much Game of Thrones, I was like, or no, not Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon.
Yeah,
I was like, this kid is dead. Like, nope.
Yeah,
not his universe.
Yeah, so all the jetpacks burn out or they lose their fuel, but Bo-Katan is following the beast, and then she says that she found the nest and she's going to be part of the raiding party here. Which is, like I said, the whole point of view was her. Like even the sparring was her on the beach just with them and trying to figure out what these people are. So he stays behind, and then this is where we get the flashback.
Right.
We finally get it's been asking for the last several years since 2020 when this show came on originally. You know, who saved Grogu, and we get our answer in this flashback, and it is, what is the Jedi's name? He is, I have it here.
Not Harrigan.
I have it in the notes. It's Calorin Beck.
Calorin
Beck. So Calorin Beck is the person who actually saved. It was a group effort because you remember is that there was someone a couple people, there was like a bunch of people here who were trying to protect all of the Padawans, and all of them fell. And then there was a particular person here who died in the elevator. She died trying to protect him, and then Calorin picks up the two lightsabers. So I like a lot of Carl's direction in this episode. But this fight is a little lackluster. Like I don't know if he doesn't know how to direct like martial arts stuff to make it look more interesting. It was fine. Like half of it is good. Like right here in the elevator, like him blocking on the stuff. Right. Like when he gets out and like in space, he like it's just him waving and he's not moving much at all. Could have been cooler. His actions. The chases are cool, and like the crash landing on the pad and him being thrown off of the thing. All this stuff. I think he directs this kind of stuff, the air battle stuff, a lot better, and he did that very well at the episode that he directed as well. So thinking through how these things are moving in space and how it might be as engaging and interesting and cool to look at for the us. I think he did a really good job there. So yeah, he crash lands here, gets Grogu, and I guess these look like Nabooan guards, like and that's a Naboo ship as well, if you remember from the prequels. So that's how he escaped. We don't know how Calorin died because apparently he died at some point, right? It's funny too, like this is 20 years before, because he's like 50 something, right? He looks even cuter than he does now, or because he has old man wrinkles because he's 50 something. Like he has cute kid face but old man wrinkles on his head, and he has less old man wrinkles on his head in the past. So it's seeing how his species ages.
Yeah, and again, those of you that don't know, when I saw the Jedi, I was like, oh, is that Ahmed Best? I was like, is it?
Yeah,
has to be. And then I, of course, it confirmed that it was confirmed. And so he's been a very solid actor in the Star Wars universe for a while. So but definitely props to the casting to try to get him back in this capacity as well.
So very quick aside, Ahmed Best was the voice of Jar Jar Binks, and he got a lot of crap from toxic Star Wars fans. I guess it really started with people having access to the internet, because that was like in the early 2000s, before people had to mail the post office to harass you, but like on the internet, when everyone got access to the internet. So like he actually had a bunch of mental health issues behind this. He nearly took his life. So I'm glad that they were able to find a place for him back in the Star Wars universe, so that he's the one who saves Grogu here. This is not the first time this character has showed up. He showed up in his reality show as well. So
and he's also done Robot Chicken as well, playing on Jar Jar Binks a lot. So some funny stuff. He's
done Jar Jar Binks as well, and I think the Clone Wars. But I'm talking about like this Jedi has shown up before in other. So he's played this Jedi before.
Yeah.
So this is where he gets the breastplate with the sigil, that beast that he threw. I forget what it was called. So that's his sigil.
Oh, was it that back from season 1? The one with the horn?
Yeah. And Djarin has it on his shoulder.
I see.
Yeah. So
got it.
So yeah, this whole back half is interesting. Like I said, you get a little bit more into there. She asks him, how do we actually eat? And he's like, you go find a separate place and away from someone. So it's very inefficient. How far away does everyone have to walk in like separate directions? What if the mission isn't in a rocky place? What if you're in the middle of a plain and there's nothing to hide behind? How far away do you have to?
Or a shared space, some type of shared small space, and you're like, oh, I need to eat. It's like, yeah, you go over there. It's like, over there is like just like a few feet from you. It's like, but it's okay. You take off your there. It's
like,
we don't have to look. Actually,
we all put our backs to each other. Anyway, so we get to see Katie Sackhoff. We don't get to see anyone else in this episode, and she gets to be at the fire, around the fire, because she's the head of the party apparently. So this rappelling stuff was actually pretty cool to watch it as well. It was, I mean, it's basically just like mountain climbing, but like mountain climbing if you had Batman grapplers so that you could reposition where you're hooked into the rock. So yeah, this thing has to be ridiculously heavy. It looks heavy. He's not just with his giant machine gun. Is that the father? Is that Pre-Vizsla? I think it's Pre-Vizsla. Yeah,
that's it.
He doesn't always have that, but I think he brought it for this mission because this bird is very large, and we find out that this is his son, which is why he's very gung-ho about going in there. But yeah, I saw a comment online that this looks ridiculous, that this kid should not be this dry, especially if he was in the person's throat, the bird's throat. And I think that's a pretty good observation. It looks a little weird, but this is the aerial acrobatics in the air that I thought was really cool. Like basically grappling his wings. One of them actually tries to cut the wings and they catch the kid. All this stuff is really cool. And then he crashes to the water. I'm assuming it's actually a female. It crashes to the water and gets eaten by another one of those
sea monsters. From the first episode.
Giant alligator things. So yeah, there was a lot going on there. So I actually watched that scene a couple times because it's pretty cool to watch. So yeah, it was I think it was fairly serviceable episodes with some really good action scenes. But like I said, I don't think there's some substance here besides finding out a little bit more about this sect of the Mandalorians in general and also his backstory. And I guess they're going to use these as beasts that they're going to ride.
It's like, where are my dragons?
Yeah.
They're dragons. They own dragons now. They're not dragons, actually. They're birds.
I mean, they're like bats, almost.
Yeah.
So she has this conversation with her about the mythosaur that she saw. She said she actually saw it. She said the mythosaur belongs to all Mandalorians, so you of course can wear it. But she's like, beneath the living waters on Mandalore, when you choose to walk the way of Mandalore, you see all kinds of things. So it's unclear to me whether or not the armorer believes that she saw something or she thinks that she saw a vision. But
and I don't even think that she wanted to admit to herself that, like, are you serious? It's like she gave off that impression, like, are you serious? You really did do that? You really saw that? Like, made her question herself a little bit. And it's weird because you would think that the armorer is like really into the knowledge, into the genes.
She believes her. She says this is the. I don't know. It's unclear if she thinks that she actually saw a one or that she thinks that she saw a vision. She thinks that she saw something and she believes her. She says because you're starting to walk the way, you've seen something. But I don't think that it's unclear to me whether or not she believes that she saw the actual mythosaur or she saw a vision. I think to her, the armorer, it doesn't matter. Either one would be valid, and you would expect if you start walking the way.
Right.
So I don't know. I guess we will see in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but it'd be good if Bo gets redemption because she's had a very rocky 20-30 years before the Empire. She sort of betrayed her sister and went rogue and decided to not be pacifist. She lost the Darksaber, I think, twice. She was the one in charge when the Empire basically decimated the world and turned it into glass, basically. So as she ends up being the leader that they rally back around behind after she was in charge several other times and failed, it'd be interesting. And get her getting back there by walking the purest path of the Mandalorian, I guess would be poetic in this world. That's what they're going for here. She's gone through the ringer. So yeah.
But I wonder what her former roommates would think of her now that she's converted into the way and things like that. So it'll be very interesting to see if they're going to bring them back some capacity, and then what would their reaction be now that she's converted to the way, like you said.
I think if she's in charge, I think a lot of people will start converting. The way that they were working, it doesn't really work either. They don't follow anyone unless they have a magic sword. They all decided to become mercenaries. So I think she thought the way to ruling was through the Darksaber. And I think maybe the way to ruling again is just walking the path of the original Mandalore the Great. So
yeah, definitely.
So we will see. Anyway, that is what we think. We want to hear what you guys think. So please comment down below, like, share, and subscribe, and check out our previous review or one of our current reviews. All right, guys. Bye. See you next week.